Okay, I thought I would make a small installation video. I recently purchased a new Galaxy S4 and I really like the navigation qualities to it. And after riding my bike for a couple years, I thought that I would mount my phone on my bike. However, I have a Hayabusa. There isn't a lot of room to mount it on handlebars. I didn't really want to move things around. So, my intention is to mount it right here. Here's how we're going to do that. We are using a RAM mount. So I'm going to be using a RAM stem mount, a short 2.5-inch arm. I chose the 2.5-inch arm to give it a lower profile on the bike. A 1-inch ball to connect to the arm. And then of course, I could have gone with the heavy duty cradle or the X grip universal mount. I chose to go with this with the arms. I saw YouTube videos where the X grip, people are actually having their phones slip out. While I know it's rare, I know that it happens. I think it's less likely to happen with one of these, so this is what I got. As far as the tools that I think I need is one tape measure, one box cutter with a razor blade, a pen for marking, and a screwdriver. In my case, I have a universal screwdriver. I plan on getting all of that mounted right there. That is the goal. I will take some pictures as I go along and we'll see where we're at. Phase 1 is the stem mount. Now the way that I read these instructions, okay, here is what I'm thinking based on these instructions. I am thinking that I take this piece, I stick it in this hole as far down as I can get it, and then I mark it. And once I mark it, I'm actually going to cut from that mark, and then I'm going to measure 1 inch and cut at the bottom of this item. So I'm just going to have a very small part that actually goes in the hole. So we're going to try that. Hopefully I'm reading these directions right, because I'm getting ready to cut this sucker up. Okay, so I have made my cut. Hopefully I'm doing the right thing. Now, according to the directions, I am to measure from where I cut it 1 inch down to the smaller side and make yet another cut. I'm going to do that now. I have now cut this. I am left with a 1-inch piece. It's hard to believe that 1-inch piece is going to hold this sucker, but we're going to give it a shot. Okay, so I needed another tool. I grabbed it. Here's what we got. Out of all these nuts, etc., I basically have this 1-inch piece. It has me put this nut down here along with this grip washer. Okay. Now, you see this nut between this and the ball? They give you a selection of nuts, or washers, I'm sorry. But you have to use the biggest washer that you can that's actually going to fit down into the stem hole. Because this entire assembly is going into the hole, if that makes sense. Okay, now we're going to attempt to put this on here, and basically once we get it in there, my understanding is we simply tighten this up and it'll mount in there. So here we go. Okay, so I have positioned this ball. Now it feels pretty snug in there right now, but I'm going to slowly but surely turn this nut right here. And as I turn this nut, it's going to expand on the inside, which ultimately means this whole thing's going to get tight. Let me say that I can feel I can feel the tension building in there. I'll be darned. Sucker feels pretty tight already. Wow, that sucker ain't going nowhere. That is really in there. Alright, so I'm going to tighten that just to make sure, and then we're going to move on to phase 2. So phase 1 looks to be complete. So I have these extra parts that I'm just going to move to the side. Here is my arm, my short arm. Don't necessarily need to do anything with that right now. Here is my 1-inch ball that I purchased to attach to the phone cradle. Now this phone cradle, as you can tell, has some pieces to it. Now it's designed for the iPhone, however, the arms will expand to fit what I have, which is the Galaxy S4. And again, the reason why I wanted to use this one is because it just looks more sturdy than the RAM X-Grip mount. Just personal preference. So I'm trying to fit this big phone on that mount. Let me do some work here and we'll see what we come up with. I have partially assembled this thing with the arms. I've left them real loose so that I can adjust them. Now I'm going to attach the ball onto this assembly. Okay, I learned something about this ball attachment which may or may not be useful to someone installing this. The holes on the ball do not perfectly line up either there or there. Even there, it doesn't completely line up. There's only one way that this actually lines up, and that is like that. When you do it like that, diagonally, it lines up perfectly. Now, I'm not going to judge one way or another. I would rather it be straight, but my opinion is that this is probably having something to do with strength of the overall unit. So I'm going to go with the flow and we'll see what happens here. Okay, so I got this sucker put together with the ball, and because of the buttons on my S4, I basically need to make sure I'm using a outer box, the hardcore outer box Defender. I need to make sure that I'm not pressing these buttons, but in any event, this thing slides in here no problem. And here's what I like. Okay, that's right. See that? Notice the camera lens? We're going to get to that in a second. Okay, now I have tried and tried. This thing ain't moving. It ain't moving. So let's turn the screen on. Now let's come on over here. Now I'm going to take my arm. Okay, I simply drop that 1-inch ball into the arm. I put the other side of the arm on this ball. Tighten it up a little bit. Now look, this is on there. Nice, low profile. It may look like it's sitting up high on the video, but it's not. It is really low profile. And if I want, I can make it, I can put it down even lower. I can tilt it. I can bring it all the way back. Okay. Now, I went on a ride with this, with my navigation, just to see how it was, and I really enjoyed it. But here's something that I thought was really slick, and that is that I can tilt it, face it up. I'm just gonna aim away just for a second to show you something here. Now, look at this. When I aim it up, and I hit my camera at, look at that. I am able to see right through the windshield while it's mounted on there. So if I want to take a quick little video of something while I'm riding, I can. Or which is the real reason why I got this, to look at my GPS when I'm going on these trips. Boom. And like I said, I took it on a ride. And it worked beautifully. I mean beautifully. And that is a big screen. That is a 5-inch screen. That is a lot bigger than the iPhone. So that 5-inch screen really, that really looks nice. It really looks nice. It's functional. I have not had one of these, and I've ridden for a couple years, and I see guys with them, and I thought, you know what? I think I'm gonna give it a shot this year. I got a pretty good trip planned in the next week, and I wanted to give it a shot. So now I know. So I hope this video helped you a little bit.